Hey, how y'all doing? We back. Man, I don't know if you're still following the craziness that happened in Ukraine, but as it starts to slow down a little, we're gonna, try to make sense of one of the most crazy and unpredictable situations that in modern times, and just what made it so unpredictable, what went wrong for Russia, what was the desired outcome, what's going to actually happen, and most importantly, who was Russia really fighting in Ukraine, or is fighting? Light them if you got them, because we're here for a full show. You're found the #1 podcast in the entire multiverse. Dark Skies News and Information, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. From the Bay to LA. What's up, San Jose? Oh yeah, Philadelphia, Maine, Maryland. Okay, y'all, strap yourselves in. We're gonna try to answer some questions. You know how we do. We'll be back in a few seconds. Oh God, how y'all doing today? You're listening to another episode of Dark Skies News and Information. Got Jennifer, Jeff, Jim, Mikey Nikes, and all the usual suspects. Want to give a shout out to the leader AB and all our friends from all around the world, from Australia to the UK to Europe, all over Europe, right? To the east of Europe, to the west of Europe. France, Germany, I see y'all checking in. I want to give a shout out to all of our listeners in Paris, all our listeners, in the Middle East, down all the way to, the beautiful continent of Africa. And check it out, y'all. I mean, it's been a wild ride, talking about all the craziness that's going on in Ukraine and the Russian aggression, right? Is that what they call it? But anyway, I've been trying to, figure out what exactly is going on, with this current situation, right? What happened, when nothing could have been predicted about what was going to happen, right? Everybody figured, okay, Russia is massing troops, and it looks like it could be a possible invasion of Ukraine. And people were, bracing for the worst. But at the same time, nobody really stopped to ask, what was Putin's line of thinking? What was he hoping to gain? What was he seeing when he looked at his neighbors across the border? Ukraine. I mean, we know what went down with Crimea, right? And we know that there are areas in Ukraine that are, Russian speaking, and basically would not mind, Russia coming in and taking over. But at the same time, it just seems like this is just so much more than political. I mean, it's more than regional, it's more than territorial. It seems like the actions of, Putin seems to be irregular and erratic. Now, I've studied war, like I told many of my listeners, And anybody who knows me knows that I'm a researcher and a historian, and I spend a lot of my time learning about, the past and, to better understand the situation that we're in today, and also to better and accurately forecast our future and the direction that we could go. Probability. Anyway, I often try to bring some of the knowledge and outlook and my opinion to, sometimes things that seems to be senseless, or I guess I like to call it convoluted or strange or even unexplainable. Anyway, we look at Putin's behavior and we question it from a standpoint of, I thought I had him understood as more of a tactician, and that, he planned things out before doing things. I've never really known him to be reactionary, but to be more, I guess, cunning and strategic is the best way to describe it. Now, this current version of Putin that we're witnessing on the world scene seems to be a little bit more reactionary and erratic. Now, I understand that NATO goaded him into this situation, but at the same time, it seems like it's something that's being left out. Now, we also know that the Russian media is not reporting, or they're reporting exactly what they're being told to report, and we're not really going to get a, I guess, fair and balanced story from either side, from either Ukraine or Russia, but also not from the Western media, as we also so many times have told the world that our media has been compromised here in America, and they've been weaponized in order to slay the Republicans, and boy have they. The Republicans are sitting on their ass and often fearful of retaliation, so they don't say anything, and therefore they have no power in our government. But we hope that maybe one day, the Republicans will get a backbone and stand up to this Democrat onslaught, but it's hard, right? Now, I tell people that once you weaponize the media, then you control the narrative, and he who controls the narrative, controls the world, because basically you can spoon feed information to certain areas, or you could definitely place the blame, shift the attention. You can do so many different wonderful things when it comes to advancing your narrative or your ideas or your plans for future, or even now. You can even control how people look at things in the past. By controlling the narrative, you could really make a damaging blow to anybody's idea or anybody's opinion other than yours. So it's incredible when you see that the narrative being controlled when it comes to Russia, and their current situation with Ukraine is definitely, how can you say, volatile. Now, Russia is a nuclear power, but I look at this situation as, mysterious. Because, first of all, I look at the Russian troops, as in the Russian army, and all the way down from leadership to logistics to supplies and actual knowledge, and who designed this reaction. Was it just split second? And even if it was split second, do you think it would have been better if they would have actually went with a plan, or did they go with a plan? I mean, I don't know exactly who Putin and the Russians are actually fighting in Ukraine. Now, I know what y'all saying. Well, they fighting Ukrainians. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we have given Russia too much credit, or maybe that there's something there that's an unknown. It's something about this whole story that's missing, and I just can't put my finger on it. I mean, I'm looking at the Russian troop advance into Ukraine. I watched it from the very beginning. I watched the plan that it seems like Russia had as far as creating a land bridge and, being able to move their troops through Ukraine. But I don't understand if they had a plan of occupation or if they had a plan of destruction. It seems like it was something there that Putin just felt like he had to destroy. It's that unknown factor that I'm telling y'all that we just can't put our finger on, that we can't make sense. We don't understand exactly what he hoped to gain when he went in, but it was something there that he felt like he had to stop. He had to destroy. I mean, for him to act the way he did, I mean, for him to send that many troops in, and you have to think about it, the logistics was horrible. I mean, the equipment was not maintained. I mean, they was not ready to do what they did. Not mentally. His generals were, they've been getting picked off. Excuse me, that's the weed. But think about it. They have been getting picked off. And with so many generals lost in a battle, in a single war, it's just, dumbfounded to think about the communications, this video, and I don't know if it's propaganda video or if it's real video, but this video of Russian troops being left in the snow as the vehicle drove off. What was scare, troops to the point where they would drive off and leave their soldiers. I mean, what would make troops abandon their vehicles? I don't understand exactly who they're fighting and why don't they have an infantry? How come they don't have foot soldiers? They went in tanks like they were scared to actually be on their feet, but then something made them leave, run, abandon vehicles. I don't understand if the stories are true or if the videos and the footage that I'm seeing is real. I can't believe what I'm seeing. But the proof is in the pudding, people. I mean, the evidence is there. I mean, they advanced in and now they pulling out, or you would have never thought that this would have been the outcome, or this would even have been a possible outcome at the very beginning of this conflict. I mean, oh my God. Mikey telling me I went over my break, so we're going to stop and take a break. I'm going to light one because, like I said, my mind is just dumbfounded about what's going on here in Ukraine and here in America and in the UK and the Russians. Who are they actually fighting? Is it really Ukrainians or is it some type of unknown force? Wow. What I got? Big what I got? Big king, wait on the block. Big king, wait to see what I got. I'm back on the block. Look, I'm back on the spot. Get back on my job. Won't stop cause I'm back on the pot. Looking at this. This is too late. That's what I got. Took the piss in the cat. Back in my spot. Piss in my pot. Back in my spot. Missiles are not. Back in my spot. Eagles are drop. Back in my spot. Eagles are hot. Open eye. Open up. Back again. Best racket now. What did they call that? What did they call rap? I'm so back. So flex. So black. Here we go back. Back in the days, not in the play cause I raised. Back in the hay, back in the way, back in the second, I'm stacking today. Listen to me and I'm packing today. I'm back in the game cause I'm rapping today. I'm back in the sizzling, back cause I'm sizzling. Niggas that look at me back in the shit. Niggas I know that they're never gonna win. Never get rich. But back in the game. Back on the so thick. Look at what I'm taking home. Look at what I'm taking home. Back in my spot. Oh, y'all listening to Dark Skies news and information coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, from the Bay to LA. And we are the number one podcast in the entire multiverse. And what we're basically doing today is we're trying to find out what's going on in Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? Because we see what's happening, but I don't understand if we really know what's happening, or I don't believe that we know what's happening. I mean, it's hard to even believe that Russia knows what's happening. I mean, they sent their troops in, they had their chest puffed out, they was ready to kick ass, and I thought ass was going to be kicked. Matter of fact, I would have put my money on this conflict being over already, and Russia accomplishing their mission, and we're at this point begging them to leave, like, hey, y'all can't just stay there. But, you know, I was preparing that speech, but now, I mean, it seems like they can't get out of there fast enough. I don't understand what happened. I mean, if you would have asked me to put my money where my mouth is, I would have said Russia would have went in there and just cleaned house. And then I would have asked what made them do that. Well, I'm still asking what made them do that, but what made them do that? Think about it. I mean, they sent their troops in. I mean, we're talking about, stories about soldiers being frostbit. Soldiers, I mean, it could be the fogs of war, right? It could be just, disinformation from the Ukrainians. I mean, they seem to be good at it. I mean, but they seem to be good at a lot of stuff. I mean, too good. And I'm not trying to say they too good, but too good. I mean, they're kicking ass, right? Am I to believe that Russia has one of the most advanced militaries on earth? Walked into Ukraine and lost contact with their soldiers. I mean, soldiers are turning on their commanders. I mean, I'm hearing stories about conscripts, and it's just a madhouse. It's like they just went in there and just everything just went wrong. And then you think about the large convoy, right? The convoy of tanks that went in. It was made up of all kinds of tanks and armored vehicles and, supplies, and it just looked like they were finna go into Kyiv and it was over. I mean, it was like if that column ever just actually pull in or just get close, it's over. But they never got close. It's like they just stopped and they wasn't able to advance. Now, my understanding is that some of the first vehicles or some of the vehicles in the front, were damaged or destroyed or, and it caused a traffic jam, like rush hour, no Jackie Chan. So you're telling me that the logistics of one of the most advanced militaries in the entire world got defeated by a traffic jam? No, it's something not right. Now, most of the damage being done is from far away and cruise missiles. So whatever advantage that Russia thought that they had by sending troops in is obviously not an advantage. And it just seems unlikely that this would be the case, but it is at this point. Now, I just want to know who they were fighting, because if you're telling me that Ukraine was back on the heels at the beginning of this to the point where it's counterattacks and they're pushing the Russians out, Russians are literally like can't wait to get out of there. I mean, they leaving their guys. Some of the videos are just unreal. It must be actors. I can't believe that. Obviously, the internet though is amazing when it comes to things getting out, but also know that propaganda and war is two things that go together like ham and cheese. But at the same time, it's just amazing when you stop to just take it in. Like, is this real? Hell no, this can't be real. I mean, Russia is not what you would call a paper tiger. I mean, shit. I hate to say it. I mean, America's kind of like the paper tiger. It ain't no fucking way that you're going to tell me that the hardest, most grueling, most vicious and brutal military and advanced in the world is basically, defeated. But I mean, whatever they faced once they got inside of Ukraine, they were severely outmatched. And they never put soldiers on the ground. They didn't want to. I just didn't see, real infantry. I didn't see infantry on the side of tanks. I didn't see tanks with air cover. I didn't see logistics or planning. I saw desperate moves being made by somebody I never would have been even allowed to go through my mind that Putin could ever be desperate. I mean, he was too calculated, too cunning. I mean, this guy was in the KGB. I mean, this guy was a spy. He was like Russia's version of Nick Fury. I mean, this motherfucker knows his shit. You just can't tell me that all of a sudden, he forgot how to do this? I don't believe it. I just think that there's a part of this equation missing. And you can't ask me to solve an equation if I don't have all the variables. So we're going to take another break, and then we're going to come back and, try to make some sense of this, because at this point, it's not making no sense. You're listening to Dark Skies News and Information, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, from the Bay to LA. What's up, Arizona?
Back to back, like Dre said, yo, the ace is back. I spit the shit, I spade the track. Listen, the way I laid this track, the way I laid your bitch on the back. I'm back on this bitch, rapping like that. As a matter of fact, I spit that matter of fact and bring it back. Like the wheels on a wheelchair. But I'm still here. Motherfuckers know, but it's still clear like water. So and dodge the otter. I'm in this bitch representing Peter Totter, but I never seen his daughter. I'm in this bitch representing me and Peter Carter. Be the daughter. No, never stop. I ride for my spot. No stop. My block. It's staying hot. Fuck the cops. I represent to the end. That's the END. But they see me riding to the top. Hokey dokey and hopey they still know me. I'm on the rise on the top. With more kick than Shinobi, but none can hold me. I'm back. Slinging more dick than Moby. You feel the fire. The new black Toby Maguire. But still, bitches, I admire the young dudes. Young belly, I feel the fire. As they react, play the game, replay the track. Oh yes, he's back. Back on top. And you not. Give me my spot, I represent for hip hop. Hooray. What can I say? Every single day we do not play. We rise to the top. Compton, Inglewood, Long Beach, LA. Hey, we smoke the hay. Party today. I'm eating hearty today. So, don't start me today. I'm back up in this bitch representing. I'm tired of the day. I'm kinda late, but still demonstrate. I play. Hey, hey. Big games. See me in the post. Big weed smoke. And we know how to do it. Thank you for patiently waiting.
Oh yeah. You're listening to Dark Skies. News and information live on a hump day here in Los Angeles, city of LA. Oh God, we're getting close to midnight, and we just wanted to stop and think, right? It's a good thing, especially for the free-thinking members of the Dark Skies News and Information community. We like to stop and think. We like to, look at the world and, try to make sense. And when things don't make sense, we step up and try to make sense of it. But anyway, we're looking at what's happening in Ukraine, and we're trying to figure out what just happened to Russia. I mean, we saw these troops, right, these columns, and they was moving. I mean, one of them was as long as the eye could see. I mean, when you hear about the Russian machine, they don't call it that no more. But I never try to be funny, but, it was the Russian machine like a month ago. And when they came in, everybody was like, man, it's over. Like, Ukrainians were heading for the border, and, by a week or two into the fighting, they were coming back. Like, fuck that, man, we're going to fight. But wait, what? I don't understand what happened. I mean, it just seems like, Russia was finna hand them an opening, or tear them a new opening. They walked in. I mean, there was nothing nobody could do. I mean, Europe was like, we're going to do some sanctions, and everybody's like, man, that's a bitch move. You're going to sanction this. You're going to sanction Putin? Putin don't give a fuck about no sanctions, and he didn't. He went in and, with the force of, 100 and something thousand troops, like tanks, for real, helicopters and planes, and, he was shooting for the ocean. I mean, he was giving it all, to Ukraine, to the point where it was like, oh, man, there's a lot of, like, prayers go out for Ukraine. I mean, we got a sense of support. And, and instead of sending, like Band-Aids and alcohol and, medication and rations and clean water and blankets, they sent guns and grenades and anti-tank weaponry, drones. I mean, oh my God, they sent the military, they advanced their military by 100 years overnight or something. Or it just seemed like that's unlikely that you can arm civilians with, machine guns and tell them to go fight against proven military and a superpower. Not just like, I'm not saying that, Syria came marching in. I mean, Syria against Ukraine, I guess that would be, I think Syria probably would have whooped Ukraine. I don't know where Ukraine got this ability. It's like, I don't know. I believe there's somebody's doing the fighting for them. I don't know. But even if they are, and I give them credit for being brave, and they standing in there and they defending their land, and God bless, and I say a prayer for them, and I support each and every one of them. And it's just sad that they have to go through what's happening. But wow, it's just so hard to believe that they turned the Russians back. It's hard to believe that some of the stuff that are being reported is something I've never, ever researched or heard or even have any type of drop of. Just, there's nothing in history like this, where a force so formidable looked as so unformidable was taken apart in a month. And I mean, completely. I mean, they were taken apart logistically. They were taken apart. Their supply lines were cut. Their soldiers were abandoned. The communications were cut. They were on cell phones and using open communications. I mean, if you really want to put it down, I mean, something happened that doesn't make sense. Now, I can understand some of these things happening, but not to Russia. And not all of these things. I mean, your tires are all fucked up. I mean, everything. Like, it's almost like whatever could have went wrong, went wrong. And that's just not possible. I can understand one or two things going bad. Like, okay, you had bad tires, so a few of your vehicles caught flat. But that don't explain the tanks or the troops actions. The confusion is all just leaves me with more questions than answers. But wow. And I still come away with no more answers, but I do have to say that this has been, to this point, quite confusing and definitely unpredictable, and I would not have bet on us reaching this point at this time and these certain situations as far as like soldiers being cremated so they don't have the bodies. Where are the people? I mean, wow. Where are the soldiers? The dead soldiers, if there are dead soldiers, or what? Are they? It doesn't make sense that they cremate their soldiers on a battlefield. Huh? So that it just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, we ask questions here, y'all. I mean, we need answers. I mean, why do we feel like this is not real? At least that's how I feel. This shit is not real. Something is fucked up about this whole situation. Something's not adding up. I mean, for the Ukrainians to be able to do this, I mean, it's commendable. It's incredible, but I don't know if it's real. So, I don't know. I'll stop, look, listen, study, and try to figure it out. God bless you all, and good night.
Why can't